Hi Aries, here's a general look at your solar chart for the whole of 2011, and this is just looking at the movement of the outer planets, which sort of set the stage for the faster moving ones, which are the subject of the monthly forecast throughout the year, so you may like to have this on here to refer back to. First of all, about Mercury, the Mercury retrograde periods. In 2011, there's going to be 3 of them. One is March the 30th to April the 23rd. The next is August the 2nd to August the 26th. And the next one is November the 23rd to December the 13th. Now, astrologically speaking, Aries, you have an awful lot of planetary activity impacting your sign at the moment. And in 2011, there's going to be more when Jupiter and Uranus enter Aries. Now, I know you like action, and it's likely that you are going to get action, particularly you early Arians. In 2010, Jupiter was in a sort of a background area of your chart, helping you tie up loose ends from the past, maybe being there as a support to others, beavering away at something behind the scenes. Maybe others were a support to you from time to time and you had to be rescued. You know, working on any kind of project, which was for some sort of common good would have been a good thing to have been doing in 2010. Now, Jupiter is about to shift through into your sign, starting from January the 23rd, very positive energy of expansion and abundance potentially, and it's going to be in your sign until June the 5th. So that's going to signal a real growth spurt for you, Aries, and you'll be opening your mind to new areas of knowledge through maybe education, but also travel, opening up to new territories, possibly rubbing shoulder with very different types of people, you know, people and situations and places and lifestyles maybe that are alien to you, but which you find interesting. Because this is an expansive energy, and the expansive benevolent influence of Jupiter will encourage you to new understanding of culture, or maybe language, or a field of interest anyway, and could plunge you into, as I say, the sorts of strange environments which could teach you a great deal. Jupiter is connected to education, travel, foreign lands, and it's also a very kind of spiritual planetary energy as well. Definitely, it looks like things are stacking up to be very interesting for you in particularly the first part of 2011. From June the 5th, Jupiter goes into Taurus. It's going to emphasize your financial area. So growth will be more through what you can set up financially or materially with property or with possessions, anything to improve the comfort zone, but also you putting your hand in your pocket, if necessary, to buy that key thing, whether it's a course or a trip or a hairdo or a pair of shoes or, you know, something really a lot bigger than that, that's going to help you with your overall growth, your overall development in life. It's something that you just know you need to do for yourself. It's not for instant gratification. That's not the way that Jupiter energy works. Jupiter is there as to help you, reach for the highest, which can aid and abet you in your spiritual sort of evolution. So, and also another thing with Jupiter there is it's fantastic for capitalizing on assets, maybe, you know, actual physical things that you have, that you can make money out of, but also it can be your talents that you can develop and turn into marketable skills that others are more likely to be interested in those during that period there in the second half of 2011. Now, there's going to be 4 solar eclipses in 2011. The first one's January the 4th in Capricorn. That's going to send a pulse of energy out over subsequent months, allowing for new starts, new beginnings in your professional area. It could involve your domestic setup and your family sort of connections as well, providing that the eclipse degree is making a connection with an important point in your natal chart. And over January and February, Jupiter and Uranus are very close together. They're conjunct for some of that time, and that's going to trigger a real sort of sudden, like growing sense of clarity, but also it's going to speed things up, and you could get stronger, really feel as though you're making progress with something. Those born April the 5th to the 8th may have to work harder, though, jumping through a few Saturnian hoops, slowing things down, because those of you born then are going to be coming under the influence of Saturn, which is in your opposite sign. So this could be an inspiring coming together of factors, situations, people, chance, really, as well, at that time during the January and February. Depending on where you're born in the sign, it will affect you either, at a certain time in either of those 2 months. Uranus is going to be coming into your sign, as I said earlier, and that's going to stay there for many years. It's a 7-year transit, so it's going to be moving very slowly. You early children of the Ram are going to be feeling that. Those born in the first week of the sign, over the whole of 2011, approximately March 21st to the 26th, you're going to be feeling that energy most potently in 2011. And all I can say about that is that you should be flexible and open-minded. It really is the spirit of revolution aiding and abetting evolution. So short term, that can feel a little bit uncomfortable for some of you, but it's definitely not going to be boring. And I call it the Dorothy syndrome. Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, that was picked up by the whirlwind and set down in a place which was definitely not Kansas. And so some of you could be feeling just like that. This is definitely not Kansas. So again, that feeling of strangeness and unfamiliarity around you. Saturn continues its transit in your opposite sign. Now, I mean, this is wherever Saturn goes is where we've got to work the hardest. It's where we've got to be the most patient, persevering. For some of you, this might mean that you want to take a love relationship to the next level. You want to put it on a more formal footing. You really want to tie the knot, because Saturn is about stabilizing something and formalizing it in a sort of traditional kind of way. Or it could be that, there is somebody there who can aid you to climb the ladder of success, just putting a word in for you, or gives you promotion, but again, you've got to be persistent, consistent, show your reliability, show your willingness, and show your, I suppose, your ability to keep on pushing through, even though there are setbacks from time to time. So Saturn in that area there can work very well. It can be like a worthy opponent from whom you learn a lot too. But also another way it can work is that you've got to just be very vigilant at finding the balance between your needs and requirements and somebody else's needs and requirements. And at times, you're going to feel very frustrated and limited by somebody around you. So keywords like compromise, collaboration, cooperation come to mind. But hidden stresses, Saturn always finds the hairline fracture. When Saturn comes along, if there's something there at the root of you that is, unstable, then Saturn's going to find that out. So that will be to do with, the way you are relating, the way you're used to relating to others, the way others are used to relating with you, whether that's in a professional sense or a personal sense. And so there will be questions asked there. There will be decisions made there. Some of you won't feel like papering over the cracks anymore. But if a relationship withstands this testing, these tests and trials of Saturn, then it will probably, you know, be around for an awfully long time after that, because it's important for your overall soul evolution. But for some reason or other, over this time Saturn is in this area here, you're probably going to have to take more on your shoulders because of another. Now, it could be that this other themselves are going through a rough time for some reason, and that's why you've just got to take on more on their behalf. You also, because Saturn's about boundaries, you're going to need to learn when it's appropriate to draw the line in the sand and say, okay, you know, I've done what I can here. You're on your own. Now, the life-changing energy of Pluto is coming across your sign from Capricorn. Choices come from a much deeper place now. You early Arians know how deep that really is. You should be listening to the most primitive part of yourself when making decisions, following your gut instinct there, Aries. Over 2011, there is going to be an increasing urge for you to be sort of unfettered and free of outlived scenarios, relationships, conditions, places even, lifestyles, jobs. You're just going to be keen to get to a more real-to-life version of who you are. Listening to your gut instinct is going to be very helpful. There's a strong drive as well for you to get somewhere, make an impact, have an influence, a very strong influence on the world. But maybe that's not going to be in the way that you used to think it was going to be, if you see what I mean. This is the planet of death and rebirth, affecting public image, profession, also those in authority in your life, bosses and so on. It's ultimately good, even though it's can be destabilizing and you know, quite a challenge, because, as I say, you've got to be flexible, because actually it will clear the decks of outmoded, outgrown, outlived, even though you didn't know they were, aspects in parallel with your soul needs and growth and your higher self-awareness, and it will clear the decks. And as I say, it can feel uncomfortable in the short term, but that allows for growth into new areas. So expect, you know, the unexpected, or expect there to be change, because there's a lot of change affecting your sign, particularly you earlier Arians. So finding a fresh direction or another option means steering a new course, maybe getting, you know, some education there, training, new string to your bow, whatever. Also educating others as to, you know, the fact that I'm here, I exist, and this is what I can do for you. And that may take some guts and tenacity and patience, but Pluto will probably give you what you need. Now, Jupiter is in your sign, and from late January, that's going to be aspecting Pluto February the 7th to March the 3rd, which indicates you could become super enthusiastic about starting off on something, getting the ball rolling, maybe renewing something, rehabilitating, resuscitating, renovating, in some way or another. You want to get something on its feet again. But you could run into a few snags, the powers that be, whatever, there is some resistance there. But it doesn't mean you can't be successful. You just got to be a little bit more, careful, and not overzealous, you know, and just steamrollering over others' opinions, or perhaps the bigger picture. And also just make sure before you give yourself 1,000% to something or someone, that what you are about to go into or what you believe is your own truth and not somebody else's version. Jupiter opposes Saturn March 25th to April the 2nd. That's a time of conflicting energies when you can be successful again, but you should be cautious when expanding into new areas. Elements of the past or old habits could be getting in the way there. And at that time, your responsibilities towards others, your sort of obligations, your duty towards others, that could feel quite irksome, a little bit onerous then. But if you can find that balance, then this can be a time of achievement and laying foundations for a happy future. Jupiter is in very good aspect to Pluto, July the 1st to the 14th and October the 16th to November the 3rd, and also for a time in March 2012. This is a good influence which can help improve the financial picture for you, Aries, if lessons are learned about making choices from these deeper places, and agreeing with yourself about how you truly want to be in your future, you know, and the role that you wish to play. Also, what you need in your life to express this more true-to-life version of yourself. Now, also keep an ear to the collective need, this is your little wheel we're talking about here, but also there's the great big wheel that your little wheel and all our little wheels are sort of cogging in with. And this is a time when there's going to be so much going on in that bigger world wheel that you should, you know, just keep an eye on what's going on there, and take perhaps a more philosophical view, to stand back and kind of ask yourself, okay, you know, which is the best way to go here. Actually, during these periods here, it's a good time for you to untangle problems, maybe get things straightened out between you and someone which may have been causing you grief from the past. And this is also a time when you can gain some sort of recognition or have professional success. Now, Uranus comes into your sign March the 12th, and this is very much going to be interesting, unconventional, alternative sort of energy. So you should be getting a taste of that faster paced vibration, which supports anything which is unusual, kind of really out there on the cutting edge of things. You know, that can be beneficial to you. Uranus, though, will be in challenging aspect to Pluto, July the 8th to August the 16th. And this is going to be a recurring aspect in our skies well on into 2015. And it really gets into gear June 2012. This aspect is sudden event territory, and this is going to affect us all in different ways. This means that you should really expect the unexpected, but there can be sudden change, really you should, starting now, have a sort of a plan B or a fallback position which is independent maybe of those bigger wheels, in some way on sort of basic survival type levels. And this is an historical time in history for us all, so it would be a good idea if you were able to be more self-sufficient or think along those sorts of lines. And then the second solar eclipse is going to be happening in Gemini. That's in your communications sector, Aries. Now, it's if the eclipse degree makes a contact with one of the points in your natal chart, that this is going to have an effect on you. But if it does, then this is going to be new beginnings in communications or with education or short distance travel, networking, IT, making new connections, meeting people, a lot of chatting going on, connecting up, you know, finding out, asking questions, them asking questions of you, and also connect with that special person, go to that special place, because the eclipse energy is going to allow for a fresh start in that area if it has made a connection to a natal degree. Now, with the Uranus-Pluto aspect, there's going to be a feeling of fast-pacing change. So, as I say, try to be prepared for that. If you start now, actually, it would be a good idea to sort of think along those lines. You know, how can I be help for myself and nearest and dearest on my sort of basic levels? How can I be more independent if things get a little bit difficult for a while? But really, everything that is pointing towards the cutting edge, the leading edge, should be of interest to you. And in many ways, that's where you are most comfortable, Aries, the pioneer warrior of the zodiac. Now, there's a third solar eclipse. That's going to be in Cancer. And again, if there are aspects from the eclipse degree, then this is going to encourage things at home, like home improvements, reorganizing your space, putting things into it, taking things out of it. It's going to affect the foundations, the very foundations of your life in other ways as well. So that can be to do with family members. It can, for some of you, might even mean relocation. It can mean new beginnings with kith and kin and neighborhood, tribe, perhaps over the wires. You asking deeper questions of yourself as well, asking yourself, what do I need to improve with nearest and dearest? And within myself, within the way I respond, and perhaps being more community-minded. And then the fourth solar eclipse in Sagittarius, November the 25th, that's going to highlight travel, education, academic achievement, intellectual interests, and could be a good time for you to take a trip or go in for meditation or take a course, and cast your nets wide, really. Get interested in a different culture or different language, or and also others could be coming to you for your knowledge, your teaching, being interested in you from that point of view, as well as you being interested in a teaching coming to you. And that again is if the eclipse degree connects with your natal chart. There are also 2 lunar eclipses in 2011. These have shorter term effects, but these cover those 2 areas that I've just mentioned here. And also your ruling planet, Mars, that's going to stay for a very long time in Virgo, starting from November the 11th, and dynamically activate your area of work and health. So you'll probably be in demand. You've got to throw yourself into getting things done on very practical, useful levels. You want to see practical results for those. This energy works best when you have your own project to develop, or you can play by your own rules. So if you're employed by somebody else, then maybe, the main event is happening outside of working hours. Or in fact, if you can possibly manage it, try to try to work on your own as much as you possibly can. And maybe you'll be physically setting yourself things up for yourself and for those you care about in a way which allows you to make better choices when you don't have certain maybe lines of supply or whatever it is to rely upon in the future on these very sort of practical basic levels. Also, this can mean that you mustn't overstretch yourself, because Mars in that area means, that you might spread your energy too thin, or expose yourself to some sort of environment which may make you very tired, or in fact you could pick up a bug or something like that. It's altogether avoidable, of course. Now, Neptune has been making its influence felt in the areas of hopes and dreams, and you working in a sort of, a kind of maybe a humanitarian or altruistic kind of a way with groups, groups looking upon you as being, you know, having a certain connection with a higher knowledge or respecting you for your imagination, respecting you for your spirituality, your ability to heal, to fix things, to uplift in some way, to improve the lives of others. Now, Neptune's transit is slowly coming to a close in that area there, and it will actually go out completely between April the 5th and August the 5th before it comes back in again to stay until it finally leaves definitively from February 2012. When it goes out of there into its home sign Pisces for a short visit, that means you'll feel a pull to function or be aware of the more spiritual dimensions of life. Maybe be interested in esoteric things or listen to your dreams more, meditation. You just get this more of a feeling of connectedness of everything together. You could have some interesting encounters which are not explainable, you know, which are inexplicable in some way because they're supranormal, they're kind of super conscious, they're kind of a little bit out of this world, and could affect you in a minor or a major sort of a way, Aries. So now, and you early Arians, of course, are going to feel the effect of Neptune most strongly during that very, very short time in 2011. Well, that's it. There is your overview for 2011. You'll see a lot more in the written form. Have a look at my website for that. Also, if you know your rising sign, can be listened to useful for that too. I hope you have a very good new year, and I'll see you the next time.